It's episode 6 of the Improv London podcast with this week's guest, Iain MacNaughton.
This ain't gonna be easy.
Somebody moving around.
Hello, welcome to episode 6. I'm your host, Stuart Moses. And I really laughed. I really laughed when I had this conversation with Iain. And then I really laughed again when I listened back to it while I was preparing this podcast. So I hope that you laughed too. All my guests have made me laugh, but I think Iain's possibly the one that nearly made me choke. Here's lots of fun things we talk about. Fans of fish-based improvisation will know Iain from old, and big hello to all the Dying Hake fans out there. And we talk about Wax Lyrical, and we talk about the Free Association, and we talk about the Maydays Osho Leela experiences. Do enjoy.
I love to improvise.
It's not high tech. How are you doing in MacNaughton?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm really good. We're recording this at Morley College in the refectory, and we're here for the Morley Taster Day, aren't we?
We are, yeah. Although I misbooked it, so I've only got one rather than three, but I'm going to try and sneak in.
Which one are you booked on for?
I am booked on improving your poetry, which assumes the premise that my poetry is already at some sort of level above crud, but yeah. I rhyme stuff when I do musical improv, so which I guess is more like rap, but I don't think I dare do improve your rap.
I'll tell you what, if there'd been a free taster day at Morley College for Improve Your Rap, I would have signed up for it.
I think I would too. I did do a thing with Dave Waller last year, and that was great fun. So, but yeah, it was very white rap. Very white middle class, so no ghettos or hoods or...
But that's something that Dave points out, isn't it? That we shouldn't be trying to pretend to be something that we're not, and we should be rapping about things that we are passionate about and that do mean things to us. And,
I think that's true. So I think I did a rap about toast, but because I like toast.
You're in favour of it.
I am definitely in favour.
It's a controversial opinion, but we don't mind that on this podcast.
I mean, it's out there. Yeah. I mean, what sort of shade of toast do you?
We don't edit on this postcard.
We don't edit. Postcard. This is going to be slightly different than I thought it was, Stuart. Is this just going to be sent out with a picture of a fat woman and her browbeaten husband or something?
Yeah, what can I say? It's the 21st century. Anyway, so one of the things we're doing on this podcast is talking to people about how they got into improv in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I'm really curious to know, how did you go from being a normal person to being an improviser?
An improv muggle.
An improv, yes, an improv muggle to an improv master.
I have perhaps a slightly unusual route into improv. Bear with me on this, because it might seem like I'm just rambling incoherently. It started out because I had this idea of doing a bucket list. And one of the things on the bucket list was to visit all the tube stations in London. Because I thought, there's some I go to quite regularly, like when I was working in London, or to go for a night out or a pub with the mates. And I suddenly thought there are probably over 200 tube stations I've never visited, and are they really there, or are they just drawn on? That led me to looking for groups that did this, and I found this thing about people.
Because you wouldn't want to do that sort of thing on your own. You definitely want to have some company if you're going to do that.
And I found this forum of people who tried to do it in the quickest time possible, and that actually reminded me that when I was at university years ago, a group of people did that, and I thought, I wish I'd been in on that, because that sounds fun. Anyway, one thing led to another, and I did that, 2011, I think, November 2011.
We have a rule on the podcast that it doesn't matter if the date's accurate, you just have to commit to it.
Okay, yeah. Right.
In 2011?
No, February 1444 actually, and I'm quite committed on that. So anyway, I went and did that, and they were a fun bunch of people, although they did slightly scare me when I first met them. It was because we started at High Barnet, which isn't a good place to start, right at the top end of the Northern Line, but it was just convenient to then finish at Cockfosters and meet at a hotel. But I night busted up there, and I walked in to the waiting room about 5:20 in the morning, having night busted up from South London, and there were a load of quite nerdy, slight social misfits. And I was like, oh my God, do I really want to spend 18 hours on a tube train with you guys? But they were absolutely lovely people. And then I've now got a load of friends there. The person in question wasn't there on that day, but somebody who does it is a guy called Jeff Marshall, who was also on the web forum. And after a while, he sort of did a post saying, does anybody want to come and see me do improv?
Wow.
And I thought, oh, okay. I remember I used to like improv on Whose Line Is It Anyway, which was my only exposure to improv in those days. And I didn't actually go and see Jeff, to be honest. But it did get me thinking, and I thought, oh, he presumably does this with a group, and I dug around a bit, and I found Hoopla, until one day at the beginning of 2013. Oh, I didn't commit. Sorry, broke the rule. One day at the beginning of at the beginning of January in 2013, I wandered into the Rag Factory, which is quite a scary experience if you've never been there, because basically
it is scary. It's exciting, but scary.
It's if you've never been there, if you've ever watched the Channel 4 show about the hoarder next door, it's basically like that. It's full of piles of junk and crap. And I saw a room with a Hoopla sign on the door, stuck my head round it and said, hello, is this the improv class? And was greeted by Steve Rowe, and that's how I started. So.
Can you remember how you felt on what you did on the first class?
I was strangely nervous, but Steve's really good at making you feel at ease, and he does a nice little speech about how everybody's here to support each other and stuff. I think the first exercise I ever did in improv was a mirroring exercise. So you stand face to face, and one of you leads and the other one follows, and if one person moves their right hand, because it's a mirror, the other person moves their left hand sort of to the same position, and it goes like that. And then neither of you leads, and it still strangely works. And at first I thought this is a weird exercise, but I think looking back on it, it kind of gets you to be a lot more aware of what's going on around you. So you're listening not just to the words and things, but you're aware of body language and stuff like that. And it's a really good exercise. I can't remember much of what else we did that night. I think a few weeks in I did a weird scene where I ended up as a strangely paedophile headmaster. He actually wasn't a paedophile, but at that stage I was just saying the first thing that came into my head. I still do that, but it's kind of a little more random outbursts. For some reason I was the headmaster and this other person was his child, and I said, do you want to come round my house? And I apologised, and he was like, no, it was really funny. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about improv. You can say a load of stuff, and everybody's there to support you.
Yes. It's also interesting, you've got those stages at the beginning where you do just come out with all these terrible things that you can't normally say.
That's right, yeah.
But eventually you almost get that out of your system, and you can still come out with things that you don't expect, but it's not necessarily just from the gutter of your mind. Although sometimes
it is.
It still is, yes.
Yeah, but I agree, it's not always. That is one of the nice things. You come up with absolute genius. I think I do my best improv when the words are halfway out my mouth before they pass through my conscious mind. So
yes,
that's a good place to be, I think. Yeah.
Cool. So you started with the Hoopla beginners course. Did you go on and do the performance course? Or?
I actually didn't do the beginners course. I started with the drop-ins.
Oh right, yeah.
And then I thought, well, I kind of want to do a show at the end of this. So after about 6 weeks, I signed up to the performance course.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, where I met some lovely people who I still know.
Another rule of the podcast is it's better not to start mentioning people in a class unless you're confident you can mention everybody in the class.
Oh, okay. No, I definitely can't do that.
It's not a rule, that's more of a guideline.
Okay. So.
Can you remember much about that performance, your first improv performance?
I remember it was pretty good, actually. There was some fun stuff going on. I think I felt a little bit of the pressure, which I still do to some extent, that you're in front of an audience for a certain amount of time and you want to be funny, so if things are dying you tend to throw everything at the wall hoping some of it will stick.
Yes.
Which in a way isn't the best thing.
Does that work?
It does occasionally, but probably more often than not, it just looks more of a clusterfuck than it did before, and it's probably still not funny. So I think, some of the other people were fishing, and I thought I'd go on as a fish, which was quite a difficult thing to do, and probably nobody except the front row could see what was going on.
You were on the floor doing it.
Basically convulsing like a fish on the floor.
I feel the people sitting in the front row, they should be rewarded. They should get the good stuff that not everyone else can see.
They did get the added bonus of me being a dying hake or something. That's what you go to improv for.
Well, all of us come to improv for different things, and the dying hake audience. I mean, we shouldn't neglect them.
We shouldn't neglect the dying hake. In fact, I think I'm going to throw the dying hake into every improv show.
Cool. So you did the Hoopla performance course and did the show. Where did you go after that?
Well, we had a really great fun show. We did two shows today, but there were too many of us for one group. They were both really good shows. And then a group of us went on from that to form a troupe called Goldfish Fire Alarm, which I've just realised is another fish reference. And we went and rehearsed regularly, and then we went and did some dates at the Brighton Fringe in 2014, and a load of shows around London. That was a narrative group, so we told weird and wonderful stories. Tended to be quite surreal. Actually this was in a rehearsal. We had one where we had a boy whose father had died in an air crash in the war, and he wanted to go back and meet his dad because he died before he was born. So he ended up going on a journey to the Caribbean to meet Usain Bolt. And then what happened was he got Usain Bolt to run very fast around the world like Superman does in the film to make time go backwards. One of our shows in Brighton, the Queen was perplexed at the lack of Englishness, but for some reason everybody in England was infertile, so she decided she had to get French women pregnant, so she gathered a load of Prince Philip's sperm, entered the Tour de France and cycled around France throwing sperm at French women, which was great fun because I ended up having to push one of the guys in the team, Steve, around the stage in a chair, which wasn't a wheelie chair, so it didn't work too well. And he had his feet down, but that's one of the shows I particularly remember. But those two probably show the level of surrealness.
I worry that people that don't know about improv, that's what they think all improv is like. Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to be. You can have some very sort of emotionally touching moments, and I also like that style of improv too. So
cool. So did that group last for a long time, or
we kind of dissolved after that Brighton Fringe performance? Although we'd probably been going about 15-18 months at that point.
You thought, this is as good as improv gets, we might as well just quit now.
I think we'd kind of dropped in numbers a little bit because we were there were four of us who were really committed to it, and we dropped down from about 8 or 9 who just found it a bit too much. And I think we were finding it hard going with 4. And some of the group didn't want to get new people in because it had started in the class. I'd have been happy to do it. But yeah, I think that kind of killed the momentum a bit.
Yeah.
So that takes me up to summer 2014. What did I do then? I did some great workshops in summer. I did one with Susan Messing and Rachel Mason from Chicago, who are both absolutely awesome. Susan probably gets more acknowledgement because she's just she's got all these these kind of quotes that are quoted throughout the improv world, like if you're not having fun, you're the asshole. But Rachel is also absolutely brilliant. She's head of advanced improv at Second City, so she's obviously not shit. She just kind of faded into the background a bit with Susan. So yeah, that was really fun. And P. Graph, or Parallelogram of Phonograph, who do a load of narrative stuff. And they're just lovely. And I love the ideas they have, because a lot of what they do, if you don't know them, They basically take a sort of genre of stuff, and they get a group of people together, rehearse for about 8 weeks, and then do the show once a week for about 6 weeks. So they've done all sorts of things, from French farce. I think the one they're doing now is a sort of 60s Western thing, like Bonanza, I guess.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever seen Bonanza, but I've heard about it. But yeah, so they really sort of do the sort of tropes of the genres and stuff, which I think is kind of what's going on at the nursery now.
Yes.
With the shows they're doing, I think that kind of came out of the idea of P-graph. Because I remember when they started talking about this on the week intensive, everybody was at lunch going, shit, that's really sort of hit the reboot button on London Improv. We've got to do that. And Jules Munns and Judith at the nursery have kind of got that happening now, so that's really cool.
Yes.
No, wait, am I getting mixed up? No, I'd started musical improv by then. I started that January 2014. Actually, I started that a bit before, because I did some stuff with... I first did that with Pippa Evans. Her and Ruth Bratt used to do this Saturday morning drop-in at a place in Stockwell in a church hall.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of the time it was just sort of ordinary improv. And then one day Pippa came along with the guitar and said, I thought we'd do some songs. And I was like, okay, this sounds fun. And it was, although very difficult. Then I did a weekend with Maria Peters and Phil Lunn, and that was even more fun. And then I started doing the musical thing with Katie Shute and Jules Munns at the nursery at the start of 2014. And that kind of took off. Did the next level up. We got a team out of that, and then we went off and we did Edinburgh Festival this year.
Yeah, cool.
Which was cool. And then we have... Actually, I'm spotting a pattern here. We haven't done any gigs since. That again was a case of people dropping out, because we started with about 10 and it went down to 6 of us. I'd like to do some... Actually, a couple of us did do one of the Improvision nights that Lewis Harrison Barker runs at the Miller, which are huge fun. So... and lately I've been doing some stuff with the Free Association, because a lot of the stuff I've been doing has been quite a Chicago style, quite organic, slow burn stuff, which I do love, but I kind of thought I've not done much premise stuff.
Yeah.
And rather than just go, I'm not going to touch premise stuff because I don't like it and I like organic stuff, I kind of thought, with improv, there's loads of tools you can use, and you pick different ones at different times. So if there's a tool I'm not very skilled at using, it's good to work on that. So
yes. It's what we call the Mark Tyndall journeyman approach.
Oh, okay.
Rather than staying in one particular area where you feel comfortable, it's attempting to try all the different techniques so that whoever you're performing with, you'll understand their kind of improvising vocabulary and that sort of stuff. But,
yeah.
So we'll come back to the FA stuff, because that's really interesting. But yeah, let's talk about Wax Lyrical for a bit. So, did that come out of a Mayday's...
Wax Lyrical, which is the musical troupe who I went up to Edinburgh with, came out of the Mayday's course. It was actually it was a little bit of a combination thing, because the bulk of us were from the course I did at the start of 2014. Most of us went on to do the level 2. We got Helen in from the next level 1, and also somebody called Neil Goulder who done one of the previous versions. Yeah.
And so, what was your what was the kind of the style of the shows you put on? What was the style of the group? We did because we did a couple of showcases at the end of the courses. One of that Katie had taught us the La Ronde, which, if you don't know it, it's actually based on, I think it's a 50s French film about all my favourite improv is based on 50s French films.
Exactly,
so I don't know if you knew that.
I think it's about somebody who's got syphilis.
No.
And
retract a previous statement.
Okay. Of the first 2 characters, one of them leaves and another character joins, and it's about the spread of syphilis. And if you call the first, I may have misread this off Wikipedia, but if the first 2 people are A and B, the second scene's between people B and C, C and D, D and E, however long you go on for, let's say to E and F.
Yeah.
And then the sort of final scene is between person F and then person A from the first scene comes back in again to make it the circle, which I think is what Le Ronde is.
Hey!
But yeah, so we did one of those and that really worked. And I think it's a shame we never did that again, but most of what we did was just montagey stuff. We did try and do narrative at one point in the run up to Edinburgh, because I love narrative. I love music box. I wanted us to be like music box. I love music box and surreal shit because it's basically what Godfrey's Fire Alarm were trying to do, but they have songs as well. And we actually got in Justin Brett from Showstopper to coach us. And I'm not sure why it didn't work. I think we just sort of felt in the run up to Edinburgh it was too much to take on. It was all getting a bit heady.
Yeah.
Justin was great.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
It's nothing to do with Justin. It's just where we were at.
Yeah.
And I think people were like, it's a rehearsal, it's going to suck again. And then we suddenly decided, actually, let's put that on ice for the moment. Got Katie back in, and suddenly rehearsals were full of joy and just dicking around and having a really good laugh, just doing montage. So that's what we took to Edinburgh.
I mean, the idea of being able to do proper narrative musicals, it's so exciting. And if you can do it, that's the most, I'm going to be controversial here, the most magical of all improv forms, in my opinion. But I can equally understand how, you've got a show in Edinburgh, this is supposed to be fun as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the two sides of things.
I think that is the thing with coming up to a festival or maybe a big show or run or whatever. It can sometimes become a little bit like work.
Yeah.
Which maybe isn't that bad a thing, because although this is huge fun, I do kind of want to work to be the best I can. But yeah, that had gone just a bit too far, and it was actually sort of sucking the energy out of the group.
Right,
So we weren't doing good performances because of that.
So was this the first Edinburgh you performed at?
That's the first Edinburgh I've performed at. Or even, actually it's not quite true to say I've never been, because my dad's side of the family's from up there and I've been up to visit a couple of times, and one of the times I happened to be there on the first day of the festival.
All right.
So a few of us were sitting in the pub and suddenly this massive march band of pipers came in and conversation became impossible. I mean, some people, maybe it's just the Scottish blood in me, but I actually loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, bagpipes can sound a bit drony and whiny and horrible, but
They are a battle weapon.
they are a battle weapon in themselves.
And for use outside,
Yeah.
I mean, within those parameters, as a machine of war and outside, I'm on board with the bagpipes.
The bagpipes, yeah.
But these were indoors in a pub.
These were indoors in a pub, and it was just so atmospheric. I absolutely loved it. But then we left the next day, and I never got to see a show, although I wasn't so much into seeing shows in those days. So yeah, that was my first Edinburgh Fringe proper this year.
And did you find it? Was it like Vietnam?
Was it like Vietnam?
Did you get 1,000 yard stare? Did you find the whole place sending you mad?
Oh right, I see what you mean.
Yeah, sorry, the conflict rather than just the country in
just the
general.
country.
Yeah, sorry, I should have said Nam.
Nam, yeah.
You don't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, it is.
Did you
quite
wish the American president would have pulled out earlier? No, sorry.
That actually, no, it didn't happen in one of our shows. I know where you're coming from. I was out there for 9 or 10 days, I think, so we only had six shows to do. But even so, it is a bit of a battle of attrition. And I'm like, how do people do this for 3 weeks? It probably didn't help because I was staying in a hostel just to save money, which was actually perfectly pleasant, but kind of you've not got any space to yourself. I was in a dorm with 5 other people who potentially rotated every night. And it's just, there's not really anywhere you can go for a bit of peace and quiet. Yeah. And I do think, personally, I need a bit of peace and quiet. I love being part of a show and the atmosphere, but I also need a bit of time to recharge my batteries. And for me, that's in private.
Yes.
I think that's kind of an introverted thing. I think quite a few improvisers are introverted, because I've sort of had this conversation before with some people.
No, that's interesting.
Not everybody, but I know quite a few people who love the buzz of a show but need a bit of quiet time.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean I 100% agree with that, and I 100% understand that. And I think needing the time to recharge. That's interesting. I wonder. I just thought that was a thing. I didn't realise that was an introvert's thing. That's an interesting distinction.
Yeah, there's a book by somebody called Susan Cain called Quiet, in a very understated title on a white cover. It's just embossed in a light shade of grey. And that's basically her idea of introversion versus extroversion. Extroverts get recharged by social contact, whereas introverts still enjoy it, but it actually drains energy for them. And personally, I mean, that matches my experience, so I'm a big believer in it. So.
No, it is strange. I mean, how interesting it would be to be an extrovert and then, I don't know, just not feel tired all the time around people.
I think extroverts get more tired when they are alone, because which kind of flips, but I'm less aware of that side of things.
Yes.
Not being that way.
I suppose, there has to be a certain amount of balance. And what I find difficult is getting that balance right. And so if I'm spending a lot of time on my own, I think, right, I want to see lots of people, and I organise to see lots of people and do lots of stuff. And then it all seems to happen at the same time, and I end up doing loads and loads of stuff, and then I need actually
to
have
that feeling. That's my tomorrow. I've got about 4 events on. And they all look super fun. I didn't want to say no to any of them, so I'm basically dashing around London.
So this is literally tomorrow. You've got 4 events on. This isn't a metaphorical tomorrow.
No, tomorrow I have. There's a group. I can't remember what they're called. It's sort of. I don't think it's battle acts, but it's like battle acts. It's a sort of improv games thing.
Oh right, where's that?
I can't remember. I need to check actually. I got a feeling it's at Theatre Delhi.
Oh right.
And I wanted to find out a bit more what it is, and I think they're looking for people to be in a troupe because there hasn't been any theatre sports in London for about 4 or 5 years. I've never seen it. I don't even know what it is.
Oh right, because that was going to be my next question, to explain what exactly theatre sports is.
I think you get given points if you do certain things.
Right.
But beyond that, I don't really know. So that should be fun. Then there's a poetry thing I wanted to go and watch. Then somebody I know is having a birthday. And what was the other thing? I may have to pass on that one, because otherwise I'm going to have to duck out on my friend's birthday really early, like about 8, which seems a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
Plus she's having a hob roast, so and I don't want to miss that. Busy times. But I tend to find when we've got a show, I get really buzzy and hyper, and I can't sleep afterwards. Or even just an improv workshop.
Yes.
I sort of get home after an improv workshop, maybe 11 by the time I've got home. Well, probably close to midnight, because we usually go to the pub. I got work the next day, and then I can't get to sleep till about 3 because I'm just buzzing. And then the next day I feel like crap.
Well, yes. Although it's weird, because although physically I feel really tired, there's part of me that is more at peace. Or it's like I've got this thing in me that I did last night, and it's kind of in the back of my mind. So no matter if work is a trial, I still think, I did this show last night, and that was a scary thing to do, but actually I went and did it anyway. So even though I'm physically tired, I've still got this kind of
totally
sort of, thing.
It's kind of like a drug, I guess. Not that I've ever done drugs. Police listeners.
I mean, obviously, this we don't want to exclude any of our drug-taking listeners. No. We also welcome you.
We do. And the small overlap of drug-taking fish fans.
This is your podcast. They've been waiting for this moment.
Finally, the Venn diagram ovals coincide.
I mean, there's a small amount of drug-taking fish fans, but those that are listening to this are really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
We do a pop-up cafe here from the Dragon Cafe every month, but actually next year it'll be a couple of times a month. Last Friday at 12 a month.
Cool.
Lovely.
We run this cafe, the Dragon Cafe, is on Borough High Street. I don't know if you've ever heard of us, but we're pretty much the first in the UK having a sort of creative cafe focused on mental health, but it's open to anyone.
Oh, okay.
Brilliant.
Lovely, thank you.
And you'll need the table at 1:15.
Yeah, so just giving you a little bit.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Cheers.
we better check the time. Right. Yeah, that was a slight interruption from somebody telling us about his pop-up cafe.
But if you want to find out more information about that, go to Dragon Cafe at... Oh no, that's not the address. It just looks like an address. It's Dragon Cafe at Morley College.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
realised that's not actually an email address. I was just... It looks like an email
It
address.
does.
Because it's got the
Yes.
It's got the @ sign. Yeah, the @ sign's being used all over the place.
Yes.
Just going to put it .com at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that... Well, okay, we'll give that a go.
It's likely to bounce.
People might get bounced.
Well. Yes. So far in this podcast, I've been interrupted by a fire alarm, episode 1, Steve Rowe, and also when I was interviewing Jules Munns, we have someone coming in to borrow the Hoover. So,
Oh, okay. So interruption. So Stephen and Christelle didn't get interrupted.
no, we were around Stephen's house, so
Oh,
that
okay.
was a little bit easier to
Oh, okay.
organise. But I don't edit, and that's not an artistic choice. It's just I'm quite lazy, and I've got a lot of things that I'm trying to do anyway. So,
And it requires a lot of software.
well, you know.
Actually, it doesn't. I've done it myself. Just download Audacity.
Yes, it's very much my editing software of choice. So we were talking about the buzz of improvisation and how you get a buzz from doing a workshop and also a buzz from doing the show.
Definitely.
And it's, for me, it's the doing something that scares you, but just being really present. I think when I'm in a workshop or doing a show, I'm more in the present moment than I am normally.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is that what's tiring?
I'm not sure. I totally agree about the being present thing. It's amazing the power improv has, even if I've had a really crappy day at work and I'm stressed. Within about 15 minutes of playing Zip Zap Zop or whatever, how suddenly I stop thinking about that and all the energy flows back into me, and
because
I'm present in the room.
I've long resigned myself to the fact that I'm never ever going to have the chance to do a workshop or a show when I'm feeling well. I'm always going to be feeling tired. I'm always going to be feeling ill to a different extent. But you just have to go along, and then, as you say, you do the warm-ups, which are so crucial to me. And then, the energy comes and you're in the zone.
Yeah, maybe that is what's tiring. I don't know. Interesting. Because it's probably a state a lot of people aren't totally in a lot of their everyday lives. Or maybe that's just me. Because I work as a physiotherapist, so a lot of time I've got to be with patients, thinking about that, thinking about how not to this and that. And it's a lot of thinking ahead and thinking back into the past, and going according to guidelines.
Which is good. I think you should stick to those guidelines.
Which in a way is good. Yeah, if I ended up touching people inappropriately,
That would be. I'm against that.
that would probably get me struck off or whatever you call it.
And don't do that, everyone.
No.
Controversial opinion ahoy, don't do that. Touching inappropriately is, it's inappropriate. The clue is very much in the name.
Because you do have to touch people. You don't sort of like grab the crotch area in physiotherapy normally.
Very glad to hear.
But quite close to it, around the hips and stuff, if they've got a hip issue.
Yes.
I've become more comfortable with touching people. This makes me sound like a pervert, and I don't like it. No, but I think in life outside of improv, you can be thinking about how you're perceived by others and stuff like that.
Yes, carry on.
Am I impressing my boss? That sort of thing. Whereas with improv, you can do. There's probably some things you shouldn't do in improv.
Sorry, carry on.
At the same venue we were at, because we Wax Lyrical were playing at the nursery venue, which Jules and Judith sorted out, and I can't remember which night it was. We had improvised Shakespeare, who were great, but one night they decided, I don't know whether they decided to copy shit-faced Shakespeare, where if you don't know the premise, one of the people gets blind drunk every night and attempts to still do the show, although that's scripted, apart from the drunken interventions. But improvised Shakespeare decided to do it, and I won't name names, but one of the members decided to grab one of the other members' crotch.
Wow. Bold move.
Which kind of worked, but there were a few shocked gasps.
It's kind of Shakespeare.
It is, but
yeah, it's not a move to make unless you're pretty confident about the reaction you're going to get.
yeah.
I mean but that's not just improv. That's just a general rule for that sort of thing.
That is general
I mean,
rule.
you know, don't settle for consent. Go for enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the free association.
The Free Association, yeah.
Because that's quite a new name to me. Are they quite new on the scene?
I think they've been around for maybe a year and stuff.
Right.
I'm not entirely sure how it got kicked off. It's Mike Orton-Tolliver, or OT as he's commonly known, Graham Dixon from Ostentatious, and Jim Woods, he's from Boom Chicago, as OT is, but they both live in Britain now, as far as I know, unless they've got a hell of a commute. Yeah, so that's really fun. Did the level 2 with them, then did the level 3.
You skipped the level 1.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You just, I'm not doing the Hoopla Beginners. I'm not doing the FA level 1.
No.
Too good.
Too good. Well, I guess I've been doing it for about 2 years then, and I said, is it possible to go in? Well, it does say on the website if you've got some experience, you may not need to do the level 1. And there were some people I know who went straight on the level 3, so there you go.
Yeah.
But that was really good, and I really enjoyed that, and I'm starting to see now kind of why the Herald can be fun. Well, I think my first reaction to it was, this kind of seems really prescriptive. And start to a format, which it really doesn't have to be. But the FA are really good at finding the fun in the situation and stuff. So I'm signed up to do the level 4, so I'm obviously enjoying it.
Yes, I will never be a Mark Tyndall journeyman because, all right. The Herald. It seems to me, and I haven't ever trained to do it, a needlessly esoteric form of improv that requires too much thinking, and I'm not very good at thinking.
I totally understand that. I think even having done it for a bit, I am finding myself standing at the side sometimes going, is this the right time to do that move? And it does put you a bit it puts me a bit in my head. I think probably as I get better it will be less that way. I think I said earlier, I think I do my best improv when it's out my mouth before I realise it, but I'm not at that stage yet with the Herald.
Yeah.
Kind of got that because I've done a couple of the Maydays residential things in September, and that really got to that. We were doing a format called The Living Room.
Right, how did that work?
With Katie Shue. You basically have a load of people sat on the couch just talking about their lives and events and stuff, so it kind of starts from a true thing, and that's kind of basic. And then if anybody kind of fancies replaying a scene or taking it a bit further or whatever, you just leap up and do it, and we were doing that, and maybe because we were all clustered together in an improv bubble for 5 days in Dorset, I was just leaping up when I really hadn't got any idea what I was going to say.
Which is the best time to leap up.
Exactly. There was just something I thought was interesting, and then you come up with stuff, and something in your brain kicks in. I've likened it before to, is it Limitless, the film with Bradley Cooper, where he takes that drug and he just, suddenly the sort of mists draw back and everything's absolutely in sharp focus.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel when I'm improvising well.
Oh, that's a cool metaphor. Tell me about your Osho Leela experiences, because I've never gone and I'd love to go, but it sounds amazing.
I've been 3 times. I first went September last year, 2014. and I got there, and it's a little bit strange because ever since I'd signed up for it a few months before, I'd been getting these mail shots about conscious sexuality.
And they were just from Jules Munns.
Yeah.
Not related to, I shall leave. Sorry, Jules.
But it's based on some, I don't know, pseudo-religion thing, some guy called Osho who has, I think it's, anyway, some mystic guy. So it is a sort of commune, and the Maydays just sort of use it as a good venue. And it has got a really nice vibe, and they're lovely people, but the conscious sexuality...
Because I'm in favour of conscious sexuality, because unconscious sexuality has unfortunate connotations.
I prefer sex when the other person's conscious.
Well,
I said it. Oh dear, I wish
I think that's very much a minimum requirement.
I agree. But yeah, anyway, so there was loads of that and healing your chakras and stuff. But anyway, I got there, and it's full of the Maydays, and it's just amazing because you not only do the class, so it's basically through the day they have 4 slots, each for an hour and a half, and you do classes, but then after that the Maydays are doing shows and people are showcasing what they did during the day, and nobody stops talking about improv from the minute they get up till the minute they go to bed. The first night I was quite tired because I went down after work, and I stayed up till about 3 o'clock playing a game called The Christmas Tree is Like... No, Sex is Like a Christmas Tree. No, it was called Sex is Like, but we had all sorts of things about... so one of them was a Christmas tree, which...
it only comes out at Christmas.
It happens once a year.
Happens once a year,
and
thank
then
you very
you're
much,
cleaning
yes.
up the mess on the floor for the next few weeks. But that was one example of the game.
It works best when you plug it in. No, I have a rule about no improv on this improv podcast, and I've broken my own rule, and now I understand why.
No.
Other people can do it if you like, but it's just not very good if I do it.
No, so yeah, and that was just a huge ton of fun. And then they did another one in March, which is slightly different, because it's like that, but only 2 classes a day are the sort of... Because the classes in September, you're basically choosing from a buffet of classes that are presented. And it's always impossible to know which floor to pick, because there's always 2 or 3 other really good sounding ones.
Yes.
And then the March one, the afternoons you spend with your group, sort of putting together a format, which is fun to rehearse with some other people. I don't think I enjoyed it quite as much as the September one, but it was still amazing. Then I went back this September to do all the classes I didn't do the previous September, but they come up with new ones, so I've still got a load I want to do. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to do them this coming year, because I'm off to Chicago in the summer.
Chicago in the summer, yes. Tell me all about this with Stephen and Rosie.
That's right, yeah. That'd be Stephen, who was on one of the other podcasts. Rosie,
on episode 2.
Rosie Ferguson, I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hopefully a future interviewee.
Yeah.
Hi, Rosie.
Basically, Chicago's where a lot of improv started. I mean, you could argue the toss about improv history for years, but it's one of the main places, and where Del Close, blah, blah, blah. And one of the big organisations, the IO, or as they were formerly known, Improv Olympic, but I think the Olympics hit them with a trademark suit or something.
I love the fact that people are going to... They thought that improv thing, that's going to be confused with a lot of people running and jumping and curling.
That's unlikely, isn't it? So we've said the gold medal for Harold's too. But anyway, in the summer they run a 5-week intensive course where they cover everything from the ground up. So I kind of want to revisit the basics. And they go through and do a Harold's, and I've already done Harold's, but I still think I'm going to learn a shit ton of stuff. So go through and do that. And I think they go back more to the organic, slow burn, emotional based stuff. Which probably is what I still favour, even though it's been great to do some premise stuff. And then we were I was chatting with other improvisers in workshops, and we were like, we're all going to Chicago. And I can't remember who suggested it, whether it was Stephen or Rosie, but they were like, shall we try and rent somewhere together? And I was like, that sounds really good, because Airbnb, just in somebody's spare bedroom, most of the if you're on your own.
Yes.
And I'd kind of feel a little bit intruding, even if they were the loveliest people.
Yes.
And we did find this place on Airbnb anyway. But yeah, we basically rented a flat for the 5 weeks.
And if you're not making a sitcom out of this, I'm going to be really disappointed.
We should do, shouldn't
I would
we?
love to watch a sitcom of this.
We'll stick GoPros around the corner.
Does that sound creepy? No.
D23 in the improviser house. Rosie is pouring cornflakes into a bowl.
That sounds like it's going to be an amazing experience.
It should be fun. It's going to be sort of like Osho, but for 5 weeks instead of 5 days.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is we have each got our own bedrooms, so there's going to be a bit of quiet space, because otherwise it generally was one of the things that worried me, that if it was like Edinburgh Festival but for 5 weeks instead of for 10 days, my head was going to explode, because I wouldn't have any quiet time, because I don't imagine we're going to go to the class and then going to sit in sombre silence reading Truth in Comedy. We're going to be going out and seeing TJ and Dave or Dummy or whoever, getting in at 3 a.m. and stuff like that. So
that will make the sitcom a lot more entertaining if you are actually going out and doing stuff rather than sitting in your individual rooms alone.
Reading our notes.
Reading your notes.
Colour coding them with highlighter pens.
Although I do support the diligent approach. But that sounds amazing.
But it is, and it kind of shows the improv spirit, because I don't know either of them that well, although what I've seen of them, because they were both at Osho last September. They're great people.
They're both lovely.
But yeah, Rosie was sort of like, oh, it's going to cost, I don't know what it was, £1,800. Can you transfer 600 quid over to me? And I just did it.
Yes.
And there's just that kind of innate trust between improvisers.
Yes.
Yes. And improvisers just seem like nice people. I can't remember who said this. Somebody said it's an effective dickhead filter. And I think that's true, although I'm sure there are some.
Yes. Stephen in episode 2 said very much the same thing.
Oh, right.
He said he hadn't met an improviser he didn't like. And I went, oh, I have.
Yeah.
But then he's just a nicer person than I am.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. That was an improv moment, because I kind of booked it without figuring out how I was going to sort it with work.
Yeah.
Because of the way I'll leave you. Without going into too much details, basically it's difficult because of leave.
Yeah.
But there's the improv saying jump and justify. So
yeah, exactly.
I booked it, and I'll work the rest out later.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Well, we'd probably sort of better head off to our poetry and do your poetry thing.
Yeah.
Any final words? How's improv changed your life? What have you learnt through improv? We need a big finish, no pressure.
Oh, a big finish. Big finish, no pressure. In improv, I've met so many great people who I now count as friends. I think it's also it's just chilled me out a bit, because I was a bit of a stress monkey. And I don't think I'm totally free of that, but I think it's really helped an awful lot. I can do things now without spending too long thinking about what's going to happen. I'll just start and trust that I can handle it. And for that reason, it's a wonderful thing.
Hooray! Improv
Yay.
is a wonderful thing. I feel we should end on a song.
A song.
But not today.
Not today. We can if you like, except we haven't got music.
Oh God, no.
Au contraire.
It's just that Iain's one of my favourite people to do courses with, because we did I can't remember what the course was. It was to do a documentary making course.
We did a documentary filmmaking course. It's another one of these taster days, which we're doing in a minute for poetry. But yeah, our topic was coffee.
And if I didn't know Iain, or didn't know Iain as an improviser, the bit in the filming process where I went, shall we finish this with a song? I would not have felt confident having
Right.
said. But I knew Iain, I thought, yeah, no, we'll go for that. We'll end with a song.
Yeah, we had coffee. We had 2 coffee. It is on YouTube.
It's
Actually.
on YouTube. Bootlegged version of
The
it.
sound's a bit dodgy because the camera didn't have a fancy mic, but yeah, it basically ended up with 2 coffee cups singing to each other, and then one of them turning out to be tea, as it revealed its dark side.
And I was really glad that your coffee cup knocked over my teacup just as I'd run out of things to sing. I don't know if you picked up on that. It was very quick, but it was like, I thought, I got nothing, he's knocked me over. Brilliant.
Yeah, we were just wandering the streets near City Lit near Holborn, just completely dicking around without a care in the world. Whereas, we could easily have been embarrassed, but we weren't. That's improv for you. Make a tit of yourself in front of the public.
Although, when we showed the film at the end, someone went, what was that?
Oh, did they? I missed that.
I think it was in a good. I think they meant that in a good way.
I'm sure they did.
To be honest, I don't really care. It's all
No.
attention, and that's ultimately why.
Yeah,
we're
that's
doing
why we
attention.
do improv, for attention.
Right, let's go do some poetry.
Let's do some poetry.
Cheers.
I made this.
That's improv!